Okay, good morning, class.
Good
Morning,
morning,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Okay, before we start our class for today, let's have a prayer. So, Marites, kindly lead the prayer.
Okay, ma'am. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come. Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Amen.
Okay, thank you, Marites. So, how are you today? How are you today, Bianca?
I'm good, ma'am.
Okay, okay. How about you, Marites?
Doing great, ma'am.
Okay, good to know that everyone is doing great. So, now I just want to know if my audio is clear. Do you hear me clearly?
Yes, sir,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Okay, thank you for responding. So last meeting we've discussed about simple present, am I right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So when do we use present tense? Yes, Marites.
Ma'am, we use present simple tense when talking about conditions or actions happening right now or habitual actions po.
Okay, very good answer. You are correct. We use the simple present tense when an action is happening right now or when an action is happening or happens regularly rather. So just to remind you, the formula for simple present tense or structure for simple present tense when the third person is singular is that the sentence starts with he, she, common noun or proper noun, then a verb in its base form with added s or es according to the verb followed by an object. So just like this. So we refers to the spelling of the verb. So if the ending of the verb is in consonant, that's y, we change y to I and we add es, while a verb ending in s, say ch or x, we add es. So now, is that understood? The simple present
Yes,
tense?
ma'am.
Ma'am.
Okay. So, do you see the pictures presented in the slides?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so pay attention to the sentences that I will going to flash in the screen. So try to analyze and observe the construction of the sentences. So is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so let me read the example so you can focus on analyzing the sentences. So the first one is, does she speak English? Again, does she speak English? So the second example is, do people wear jacket in summer season? Do people wear jacket in summer season? So try to analyze the structure of these sentences, okay? So next one, kindly read Marites, this first sentence here on the left side,
Do you have a sister?
and the other one.
Does Taylor play guitar?
Okay, so try to analyze what is the similarities or differences between these sentences. So we have here, Bianca, can you read this sentence?
Okay, ma'am. Does a frog live in the sea?
Next.
Do we have class tomorrow?
Okay, thank you for for reading. So now, after analyzing the sentences, so try to answer the simple exercises. So make these previous examples that I provided as your guide. Is that clear?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
So here, on the left side, we have here the previous examples that I had provided earlier. So while on the right side, this is our exercises that you need to answer. So you just need to choose which is the right auxiliary verb to use in every sentence. If it's do or does. Make use of this rough reviews examples as your guide to answer correctly. So for the first one, let's have Marites can answer number one.
Do does you play football? Ma'am, my answer is do.
Yes, you're correct because it has the same structure on which examples that I had given earlier. Again, Marites.
Um, it has the same structure po as the example number 3.
Okay, that's correct. So how about the next one? Would like to answer? Bianca, can you answer number two?
Number two is does.
Okay, does. So nice, that's right, because it is same as the example number one. If you noticed, we use here in our exercise the pronoun he, while on the previous examples we have she. So they are both in the third person, a third person pronoun. So we use also the auxiliary verb does. So number three, would like to answer number three.
Ma'am,
Yes, Marites.
um, do does Ronnie love me? Ma'am, my answer is does. It is the correct answer po because like in the example number 4, we use does because the subject is singular, which is Maritus. It is the same as the subject in this sentence, which is Ronnie po.
Okay, very good answer. So next, Bianca, can you answer number four?
Yes, ma'am. Number four, do does we play video games? I think do is the right answer, just like in our last example earlier. The pronoun used is we along with the verb do.
All right, good. You are right. So, do is the answer for number four. So, who would like to answer the next one?
Ma'am,
Yes, Marites. Go ahead.
do does my mother and sister have long hair? But my answer is do because the subject is plural. Just like po in the example number 2, we use do because the subject is people, which is plural also.
Okay, very nice observation, and that's correct. So we have now the last one. So, Bianca, kindly answer the last number,
Yes,
number
ma'am.
six.
Do does the horse run fast? Ma'am, the answer is does. It has the same structure as the example number 5. Does was used and the subject is frog, which is singular same as the subject here, which is the horse.
Okay, correct. So, after that exercise, I assume that you have somehow an idea what is the structure of those sentences. Now, let me ask you, what do you observe from those sentences? Can you answer, Marites?
Ma'am, all of the sentences are in the form of question that starts with do and thus. And also, ma'am, I observe that when we use the verb do, the subject is in plural form, just like the pronoun we.
Okay, very good. How about the verbs that were used? What do you observe, Bianca?
I observed, ma'am, that the verbs were used in the examples are on the base form.
So, exactly. So, in constructing questions in the simple present tense, we don't add s in the ending of the verb when the verb is in third person singular. We always keep or retain the base form of the verb. Is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So your answers are correct. So here. And the observation of Marites regarding auxiliary verb and subject use in the example was right. We use we use auxiliary verb do, here do, when the subject is I, you, we, and they. And other plural nouns. And we use the auxiliary verb does when the subject is he, she, it, and other singular nouns. And also, all of the examples are similar in terms of form or structure. We have the first, the auxiliary verb, the subject, plus the main verb, plus the rest of the sentence. So, for your better understanding of that, you can look at this table presented in the slide. So, here is the structure. And again, when do we use the auxiliary verb does, Marites?
Ma'am. Yes, we use the auxiliary verb does when the subject is he, she, or it, and other singular nouns po.
Okay, thank you. How about do? When do we use the auxiliary verb do? Anyone? Yes, Bianca?
We use the auxiliary verb do when the subject is in plural form, such as pronouns I, you, we, they, and other plural nouns.
Okay, thank you. So lastly, what is the structure? It is in the slides. What the slide rather. What is the structure of simple present question? Kindly read, Marites,
Ma-
kindly read the structure.
Ma'am, the structure is the auxiliary verb plus subject plus main verb plus the rest of the sentence.
Okay, very good. So now for your practice, let's have Bianca. So Bianca, you just have to answer the question that I will ask you, okay?
Okay, ma'am.
So, do you play badminton?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
Okay, so okay, now it's your turn, Bianca. Can you construct your own question in the simple present tense?
Okay, ma'am.
All right, you can ask Marites. So go ahead, Bianca.
Okay. Marites, do you like old songs?
Yes, I do.
Okay, good, Bianca. So now it's your turn to construct your own question, Marites. You can ask Bianca.
Bianca, does your sister or brother hang out with you?
Yes, they do.
Okay, very good, everyone. You did very well in constructing your own question. So, what do you observe regarding the responses? Anyone?
Ma'am?
Yes, Marites?
Ma'am, the responses were just either yes or no po.
Okay, that's right. We often use short answers like what you've mentioned. It's either yes, I do, or no, I don't. When we respond to present simple questions, this type of present simple question is what we called yes or no question, and it typically starts with the auxiliary verb do or does. Is that clear?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Okay, now let's proceed to the next part of our discussion, which is the other type of simple present question. So look at these sentences and try to analyze or compare these sentences to the previous type. What do you notice in this set of questions compared to the other type that we had earlier? Yes, Bianca?
Ma'am, I noticed that the question word was added at the beginning of the sentence.
Okay, that's correct. How about the form of the verb? Yes, Marites?
Ma'am, it is still in the base form, ma'am.
Okay, good. You're right. We still keep the base form of the verb. So what do you think is this type of question referring to the examples presented here? Do you have any guess what is the other type of simple present question?
Ma'am, can I guess po?
Yes, Marites. Go ahead.
Ma'am, ma'am, I think WH type questions.
Or, all right, very nice guess. You're correct. As you've mentioned that it starts with the question words like what, who, where, when, and how, then this type of simple present question is what we called WH question. So Now, to further discover the rules in this type of simple present question, let's have an exercise. So, here, you just have to arrange the phrases or words correctly to come up with a WH question. You can refer to the examples I had given you earlier so that you can be able to construct correct answers. So, is that clear?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
Okay, let's start. So, kindly answer number one, Bianca. What do you
okay, ma'am.
arrange? Okay,
Number
okay.
one, what do you want to eat?
Okay, let's see if you're correct. Yes, you're correct. The sentence is, what do you want to eat? So let's proceed to number two. Yes, Marites.
What does Vincenzo drive?
Let's see. You're right. So what does Vincenzo drive? So next one, number three, would like to answer. Okay, go ahead, Bianca.
For number three, where do they hang out during their vacant time?
See if you're correct. So there, you're correct. Where do they hang out during their vacant time? So number four, like the answer.
Ma'am,
Okay, Marites.
who does Rose help at home?
Okay, let's see if your answer is correct. So you're correct. Who does Rose help at home? For the last one, Bianca, can you answer the last one?
Okay, ma'am. How do you come to school?
Correct. So how do you come to school? So now that you've answered the exercise correctly, is the structure of the questions the same? What do you
Yes,
think?
ma'am.
Okay. If that's so, let's see. So here in the first question that we had earlier, what the question word what is the I'm sorry. So what is the question word? Am I right? What is our question word here?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Okay. So that's the question word. So how about the next word? This one. What do you call this?
Ma'am,
Okay. Go ahead, Bianca.
it's an auxiliary verb, ma'am.
Okay. See? So correct. Question word followed by an auxiliary verb. So how about the third word? This one. What is
Ma'am,
this? Okay, Marites.
the word after the auxiliary verb, ma'am, is the subject.
Okay, let's see. You're right. You is the subject in these sentences. So, question word followed by auxiliary verb and then the subject. So, the next word, this one. What do you think is this?
Ma'am,
Yes, Bianca.
the next word is the main verb.
Okay. Yes, you're correct. That's the main verb in the sentence. So, and then the last preceding phrases in this sentence are the rest of your sentence. So, what structure did we got? So, we just need to read it. So, who wants to answer what is the structure of WH? Simple question. Simple present question.
Ma'am,
Yes, Marites.
the structure is question word plus auxiliary verb plus subject plus main verb plus rest of the sentence.
Okay, thank you. So, all right, how about the next question? So, do we have the same structure as the number one? What do you think? Do they have the same structure?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and also the other remaining examples. So, okay, exactly that. Um, the first one has the same structure as these examples because the format that we're going to follow in constructing WH question in the simple present is the structure of question word plus auxiliary verb plus subject plus the rest of the sentence. So now it's your turn to construct your own WH questions. Let's have it by pair. So one will be asking and one will answer. Is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Pair that we have first pair is Bianca and Marites. So Bianca will be asking Marites. Okay, Bianca, you can start asking.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay.
What does Kyle Kuzma play?
Kyle Kuzma plays basketball.
Okay, very nice. Next would be Marites. So Marites will be now asking Bianca.
Where does Lee Min Ho lives?
Lee Min-ho lives in South Korea.
Okay, great job everyone. Thank you for your participation on our exercises. Now let me ask Marites, can you differentiate the responses between the two types of simple present questions?
Yes, ma'am. So in yes no question, we use short answers or responses, while in WH question, we should give a specific or definite answer.
Okay, very good. That's correct. Because when you ask WH question, you are expecting a specific and detailed answer. So that's yes or no response. Like yes, I do or no, I don't. Short responses. While in the WH question response, it needs to be specific and detailed. So as to summarize, the only difference between the structure of a yes or no question and WH question in simple present is that in WH question, we need to start with a question word like what, the WH question word, what, where, who, when, why, and also how. Aside from that, what rule do you remember when formulating question in simple present? Yes, Bianca?
Ma'am, I think the most important rule is that we should remember that the main verb should be always in its base form.
Yes, exactly. Always keep in mind that we always keep the base form of the verb. We should not put S for the third person. So, what else? Other rules that you remember?
Ma'am,
Yes, Marites.
we use auxiliary verb do when the subject is I, you, we, they, and other plural nouns, while we use does when the subject is in third person singular and other singular nouns.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Marites. So, any more questions, clarifications?
None, ma'am.
Okay, if there are no more questions, that's all for today. I hope you really learned our lesson this morning. I will just post an assignment in our group chat or Google Classroom. Make sure to submit it before our next meeting. Is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
So, okay, thank you for attending today's meeting. Goodbye, class. See you next week. Keep safe, everyone, and God bless.
Thank you, ma'am.
Goodbye,
Goodbye.
ma'am. Thank you po.